North American Caribbean training method was started earlier this year in 2020. And the purpose of the program is to give Caribbean coaches in the United States and Canada an opportunity to come together, train, and work with players.
We are going to spread this throughout the United States. Has been something, a dream of coaches of Caribbean descent in America for a very, very long time. And we have now to work and to get these kids to a different level.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Black Soccer Membership Association. I am your host, Justin Reed, and I've got two special guests, Sibrena and Alex Geraldino. They are the owners of the New Jersey Teamsterz, which was founded in 2017. But before we get into the discussion, if everyone could press the like button, the subscribe button, and the share button so that we can continue to keep our podcast rolling. As you know, this is a podcast for Black soccer coaches, referees, players, and administrators, and it provides us with a platform to share ideas and to promote each other. So, as I mentioned, we've got a special show, and I want to introduce them because they are extremely unique in the professional soccer scene. They are the first African-American owners for the National Independent Soccer Association. So Sibrena Geraldino, she is the CEO and COO. She's been involved with entertainment and the sports industry. She's represented many entertainers, athletes, and high-profile individuals. She has helped to shape the careers of many well-known rappers, singers, athletes, reality personalities by way of media buys, publicity, and talent management. Sibrena hails from a prominent religious and political family and is the cousin of civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Alex Geraldino, of course, they're married. Alex is the founder and the general manager of the New Jersey Teamsterz. He studied at the City University of New York, at City College of New York, and is a U.S. federal procurement official, a registered U.S. soccer intermediary and sports agent. Alex is also a castmate on I Quit, which is a Discovery Channel docuseries. So Alex and Sibrena, thank you very much for taking your time out to join the show, and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Justin, and Happy New Year.
Yep. Happy New Year to you as well. So I was hoping y'all can spend a little bit of time just talking to our audience and just giving us a little bit more information on the Teamsters, and of course being the first African-American owners of a professional team, a professional soccer team in the U.S.
I'll let you go, Alex.
Well, you're the PR, so it doesn't matter. I'm long-winded, so in short, I think, go ahead, Sibrena, I'll let you go because I know you want to go anyway.
Well, Alex is an avid athlete. So we travel a lot together, and he's always had an interest, even after his football career, as long as I've known him. To South America, and our friends would say, they knew Alex played football, American football. He hails from Harlem, 96th Street, and then Harlem, USA. I tell him it's Hamilton Heights, but he says Harlem.
Kind of downplay the whole Harlem, Hamilton Heights, but anyway.
No, but I say that because Alex had to learn. He's a first generation American, so he had to. His Catholic school didn't invest in himself, go to speed camp, and then walk on the field and try out. So when we travel to South America and we have friends who are passionate about soccer, are professional soccer players in Brazil and Colombia, and knowing his story and how he got involved with boxing and being a sports agent, coming from the Lee Steinberg Academy and studying under Chris Cabot. Yes, and Lee Steinberg. So they wanted him to represent them in America. But Alex wasn't an agent. We had no clue about soccer. He had never played. I never played beyond recreation in high school, in gym, phys ed. But we had to figure that out. And when we came back to the States, after so many inquiries, there are no coincidences, Alex said. Find out how I could be an agent. So I found USSF, called them up, spoke with someone who told me to call back in a year. We had no clue about the FIFA scandal being bubbling. And I called back in a year. In the meantime, Alex was a boxing official for USA Boxing. And so he championed that, going to different tournaments and honing in on his boxing career, his boxing official career. I called a year later, my call. So I Googled who's the president of this place. It happened to be Mr. Gulati. Yes. Okay. And I found out where he worked, and I contacted him at work and told him, listen, I've waited a year. My husband has his master's degree. He's a government official. He's an athlete. What's going on? So Alex had his application within 5 to 10 minutes after that. And then he, went to the first draft, looked into finding talent, but I'll let you take it from there. He met with some UPS semi-pro arena.
So just to add on to that, and I know we spoke about this before, or to elaborate rather, not to add, not knowing, coming from football, soccer, pretty much the sport, understanding the sports in general, soccer is totally different. The culture, rules and regulations, of course, not having the resource. Not when I say resource, I'm saying the context. So I had previously had made some contact with some individuals who had a league out in the West Coast, and which was the UPSL. And they asked me at the time if I was willing to come in and help them expand to a Northeast Conference. I said, well, to be honest with you, I didn't know anyone, or they didn't have the contact for the Northeast or anyone in the Northeast to start recruiting new teams. They didn't know me. So I said, but I was definitely interested in the club. And so, and then I said, okay, fine. So let's start a flagship, in the Northeast team rather. And that's how the New Jersey Teamsters came into fruition, where, we was like, at the time, I remember this like yesterday, we was like, well, what should we name the team? This was Sibrena, myself, and Natasha, my daughter. And they're like, oh, let's do the Eagles or the Bears. And I was like, that doesn't resonate to anything. How is that marketable? It doesn't, So one thing led to another, it's okay, where do our we sit in a geostrategic location, Northeast, what does it represent? Blue collar, whatever. And so we came up, the Teamsters came up, the alignment with the Philadelphia Union. And so I thought that, yeah, why not? Because LA has the mobsters. Not LA, Vegas. And then there are other names that are pretty, interesting. When it comes to like when you want to market, you want to be edgy at the same time. You have something to be able to market with. And so that's how the Teamsters came about, and basically starting a team from scratch, 2 individuals. Well, at the time, really, I was pretty much doing the whole thing. And then Sibrena was like, well, she saw the bigger picture to it. She said, well, I can help bring my experience to this and market it and bring it to, to a different level. And that's how we were able to, from the social media campaign to, people were like, okay, yeah, the New Jersey Teamsters, blah, 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 whatever. And then the TV show came into fruition, where you have two types of personality that was very entertaining. So we're here, and so and that's that part, and then we just move forward with the whole launching putting our hats in the ring for pro team. We saw that there was a need in our community. Basically, a tremendous amount of talent in the tri-state area, but many of them have been very underrepresented. So it's very limited opportunities, I would say, basically. So now what we've done, we've opened it up, cast a wider net for folks that, okay, you know what, the opportunity is there now. The opportunity is there now. We as a community need to embrace, a team like the New Jersey Teamsters Football Club.
So I noticed that you all changed the S from S to Z at the end. What was the purpose behind that, behind changing the actual nickname, the Teamsters?
Yeah.
So Sibrena would touch base on that. Go ahead.
Seeing the trend, soccer trend, and Generation Z is the generation that is not connecting to professional sports the way millennials and our generation and before us, right? We engage. We're at the stadium. There used to be fan mail. You get autographs. Gen Z has right now, besides COVID, they're more digital. So I needed to tap into that market and not just introduce them to soccer, but can be a digital world as well. Like we plan to expound on that. And so the Z is definitely represents an urban feel. We're in an urban, suburban, metropolitan area. And I wanted to reflect that because New Jersey being a garden state, it can be very agricultural, farm, vast, different, diverse communities within New Jersey. But where we sit, we're on the hub of New York City, on the harbor. Well, so a lot of love from our interns and players. And so that's why we decided to go with the Z and the crest and the new crest.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's lovely. I mean, it looks great. I definitely see the difference from the logo when you all started in 2017 to now. And I can see that it definitely represents the city where you all are based. So I also noticed that you all started a women's program as well. And that is under the United Women's Soccer. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that program came about?
Sure, that we've always had the initiative to have women's soccer. We've been actually researching for about 3-4 years now. About 3 years, right, Alex?
Yes.
Women's Pro, they're number one in the world. USA women's soccer players. It makes sense. There's only one pro team here in my area, which the Sky Blue, right?
Sky Blue. Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I wanted to tap into the female market, the women's market. So we reached out to a couple of leagues. We heard back from no one. And then lo and behold, United Women's Soccer reached out to us. We did our research. They have an amazing program. I love the teams. Like I've been studying some of their teams that are regional to us, Lancaster FC, I believe, and a team in Connecticut. We've also had dialogue with other owners. So it's actually the best situation for us because we have the option to have the professional side of women's. It's a pro-am league. And so if we pay the players, which is my intent fully, then we have a professional team, and we also have in League One, and then we have League Two, a reserve squad that we'll be putting together. So trials will be held hopefully in February this year, and we're looking right now for a coach. I'm looking for an all women's lead or men's team. Yes. Well, I didn't want to confuse besides the team of players, but every aspect of the women's team to be fulfilled by female managers.
Female.
Yes, and so we're also looking for sponsors. We're putting together our marketing deck, and so this is new. You know, we just got announced. We're in no rush. We're here to do it right from top to bottom. So if we can't play this season, that's fine. But we have full intent on playing this year.
Okay, so it looks like
the whole intent. So the whole intent also, it's just basically adding, just adding on, because we didn't want to leave the females behind. I know women have been underrepresented here also, so we want to make sure that that opportunity exists for them. And as a New Jersey Teamsters, we want to have, expand our brand and make sure that everybody's represented.
Yeah, and that's important because FIFA just put in billions of dollars, or I think $1 billion. I think they're going to work towards funding women's programs. So I'm starting to see a lot of different federations around the world just starting to get their women's programs, together, kind of getting it together. But seeing like Sibrena, like you mentioned, we are the #1 country for women's soccer, not just in terms of the number of youth that are playing, but also the team itself being the top team. So that transitions my next question. Do you all have aspirations to have a youth club component? So now you've got the men's, you got the women's. Are we looking at the youth club as the next step?
That's a good question, Justin. We had started, the whole youth program, just that we did it the opposite direction. We started from top to bottom instead of bottom up. Basically, the reason being is because obviously, as you know, everything in this sport in the sport of soccer is really no standard operating manual or procedure of how to run a club. So the way I thought about it, or rather the way Sibrena and I thought about it, is that, hey, yes, we have the pro team. That is their pathway to go to the next level, because after you reach the level of 16 in the youth club, there's really nowhere else for them to go other than play high school and soccer, for that matter. Or if you want to play recreational or sports, outside of the high school. So for us to have the platform of pro team, now they have the understanding that yes, you can get to the next level. So we started from the top, and then we have the reserve, the U20, U23, U20, and then we're going to trickle on down. And that same format is going to apply for the female also.
Okay. Now, no, I was going to ask you about the challenges of actually building up a club. So as you mentioned, you've got the men's side, the women's side, and now you're working towards the youth side. What challenges have you all faced throughout the last 3 to 4 years of building?
Well, I guess from an administrative standpoint, there are a zillion and one hurdles. Number one, getting a field to practice and play on alone was a challenge here, because you have 500 clubs, maybe 500 with heritage, we're the low man on the totem pole, so to speak. So no one knew who we were. These youth clubs are connected to cities because they're using city and county facilities. So we had to finagle our way and figure that out, which was easy because you have to have relationships. And they had to know that we were doing this for the betterment of our community, which is what we are about. But especially during the beginning stages when it was about development, because so many travel teams, but these other players that had potential, they were missing, they didn't have a space. So being Black alone is the number one challenge. Being a female, the number 1 and 2 challenge. Yes. And then not knowing soccer, not coming from a West Indian country, an African country, a European country. We were like, no one paid us, even coaches. There were so many arrogant coaches that, wanted to charge us a lot of money because they knew that we were green and we didn't know much, but they didn't know that what our relationships that we had, and that we were willing to do the work to know all about soccer. I read Soccer for Dummies. Now, no shame in that.
No shame at all.
An excellent
Mhm.
And then, also soccer is territorial. We didn't get accepted by many African American or African soccer team owners or presidents.
Mhm.
I don't know why. I think that, I'm looking to build that up in terms of Black women in soccer and females in soccer, period. I'm building a coalition of professional, technical and front office and players, former
Mhm.
players,
Mhm.
because we don't have a voice.
Right.
We may have representation at USSF,
Mhm.
but like, who's lobbying?
Right.
So I would like to do that. I think the men don't take, because I'm a female and I'm passionate, so my language is different than what you guys are used to. So it's
Mhm.
like, oh, you're emotional. No, I'm not emotional. If I cry, that's
That's
emotional.
emotion,
But
right?
like, right, but being assertive, aggressive, curse you out, get whatever I need to do to make you understand, that's
Mhm.
fine. Not to
Right.
say that that's what I do, but I come from hip hop. So I come
Mhm.
from an entire different industry where I'm brutally honest. People respect us for that, respect me for that. They respect Alex for that. We can't be bought.
Mhm.
We're all about integrity and transparency. And so that alone is another challenge in soccer.
It is.
So, so we've had challenges, and I guess Alex can speak to his challenges.
Well, yeah, and my challenges, it's similar. Of course, the overcoming the color barrier, the inexperience, and folks are looking at us like, you don't know anything about soccer. Why should we trust you? Well, look at Real Madrid, how they righted that ship. Those folks that walked in, they didn't know, they knew it no more than what I knew.
Mhm.
They had to form the group. They went in there. They knew they had some sort of business-minded sense. They were like, okay, we don't need to know soccer in order to run a business.
Right.
And that's how I approached it. And I said, if they can do it, I could do the same thing because I have just as much as a business experience as they do. Only
Right.
thing is that I'm more sports centric than anything else.
Right.
And so
And
I read the whole Real Madrid, their structure and how they put it together. And I said, okay, well, yeah, that's doable. And that same approach, the Real Madrid way, the Patriots way, it's the New York Teamsters way,
Mhm.
the New York Teamsters FC's way,
Mhm.
and that's that approach. And the challenge. I'm sorry, Sabrina, you wanted to interject?
why? And I said our style of management, Justin, is different. I'm an entrepreneur. He's a bureaucrat, and he has formal education. Where my formal education is college, but I don't
Mhm.
have the master's degree. I don't have the sports. I never played sports. I'm a piano flute, but I applied my entrepreneurship to the Teamsters, and
Well,
we're at
just be real. Just keep it at you. The music industry, hard knocks. You
She's in
don't like it.
entertainment. I mean, sports is
The
entertainment.
death
Yeah.
row, that type of scenario. Yeah, that's real. That's real education.
It is.
and I fell in
Mhm.
love with soccer, I must say. Like, it took me by surprise. Like, I would go to Yankees. Alex always had season tickets at the Yankees. When I started dating, he was in the nosebleed section. I'd have on my stilettos. I'm all about being cute at the game. I never paid attention to the
Uh-huh.
game. I'm making friends with people sitting next to us.
Uh-huh.
Then we would go further down until we got behind home plate, the legend. So we've experienced stadiums from, how to customer service in terms of at a stadium.
Hmm.
And then I'll let you continue, Alex.
So the challenge is, of course, Justin, is everything, as you can relate to, is the finance to it also. When you have to pretty much, if you want to keep this afloat, you have to come from within, and that's the only way of showing that how serious you are is by from your own pocket. It's actually basically financing the organization without very little. It's not like the European system where you have the assistance from federations. It's not. It doesn't exist here because the model is different.
Right.
And so that's one of the things. And then the other challenges, and it wasn't so much a challenge. It's something that I wanted to challenge myself, is to learn the different parts, the different intricacy of running an organization, from stadium operations to GM to players relationship to dealing with the coaches to marketing to sponsorship. There's different components of running an organization. And from the little or small group that we have on our staff, we all had to wear many hats, and that was the learning part to it, where yes, our first couple of years, yeah, it was an amateur, but it still was lessons learned from it, right? It's like, okay, it's not something that you can read through a book. Yeah, you can talk to some people. Like for instance, we have great advisors on our board. We have the likes of Niall Quinn, former chairman of Sunderland. We have Joost Witt, who's the former CEO of a UEFA champion team in Belgium. Enoch Shinumi, former champions player in the former EPL champions player. And we have Darren McCartney, who's a former director of operations of Miami FC. And also, lastly, Avi Mitchell, who's a sportspreneur in India. He's MMA. He's a part of the futsal in India and the Super League, and he does a slew of other stuff. And all these individuals are a phone call away. Is, listen, I have this issue. How would I resolve it? What would be your recommendation, your suggestion? And these are the types of things of the type of leadership that we surround ourselves with, because how else are we going to move this project forward, right? Other than our own experience, but our experience is different than others.
Right.
I'm a bureaucrat, Sibrena is an entrepreneur, know nothing of soccer, but yet we have to surround ourselves with, individuals who have done it, who have been there, done that. Mm-hmm. And that's we have to be very grateful and thankful to those individuals who have been there from day one.
And those
to help us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're in foreign countries. Support from the American soccer people. So we've always, of course, had the Black coaches support.
Right.
So that's something that we had a relationship with you guys almost from the first year we started, if not the second year. Correct, Alex?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was around 2017. Yeah.
2017.
Yeah, 2017.
That was the first year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you guys didn't believe in us. How about you diss me at your party?
What party? That's not us. See, they're two different. Go ahead. No, I was saying there's two different Black soccer programs in terms of association. There's us. We're the Black Soccer Membership Association. We have had no parties. We've had no conventions or anything. And then there's the United Soccer Coaches Black Community Group. I think that's the group you're talking about who dissed you. We don't do stuff like that. We work with our people, to see how we could be of assistance. Yeah.
Yes, invite us to party time. I'm a party girl. I'm just joking. No,
just want to clear that up.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, like we would love to. We're building our own. Alex calls it our own squad of soccer influencers, people that we can network with, and we're open. Like that's what we're about: sharing information and learning from others. Because there's no way we could learn as much as we have without asking people and people being there for us. So we've been fortunate to have that kind of support.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a crash course, basically.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, you guys are like, they see our passion. And, even Alex and I, we can't really watch the matches fully, but we'll go home, upload it on our TV, and we're all excited, as if we're reliving it all over again, because it's such an exciting sport. I wish I would have been involved in the sport a lot sooner.
It definitely is. And I'll just real quick, I was going to say, and the approach that you all are taking is unique, because most like professional soccer clubs, when they start, it's starting with an owner who's a multi-millionaire, some billionaire, who's got a ton of money, who can just toss it into this club. You all are kind of doing it from the grassroots up, although you're starting from the top down, which I think is extremely special, and what you all are doing is great. Sorry about that, Alex. I interrupted you there. But go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. But I was going to say also, just to give kudos to our head coach also, who also believed in us, because there was other coaches that were like, I'll do this. You just the salary. And this individual came out. He was very, at the beginning, very like, I don't know. But then he said, you know what? Why not? I'm from this community. Why shouldn't I be part of it? And he took something from nothing and presented it to a presentable product now, and then we'll continue to build off from there. So it's only right that he's been given Via Romero, he's been given, the kudos, because basically you have to believe in something and believe in individuals that are bringing something that's very, like, I would say, it's very unconventional the way we did it, basically. So.
And yeah, and he knew, because he was a former owner of a youth team, several teams on his club, he knew the challenges. He's also was at the time assistant coach at St. Peter's Prep, which is a university in Jersey City that has a big soccer program. So, him taking a chance on us, it really was, because we wanted to go in another direction, because a lot of, we learned that people are selfish. And not that it's a bad thing, right?
Right.
We never know what situations they may have or why, but we wanted to do something totally different. It wasn't about the money. In fact, we had so many arguments in the house over spending all of this money, all of his spare money, on these guys that I would see not show up, to matches, or not come to practice, but they'd be able to, because we needed them and the numbers were there. Like, no, I would say absolutely not. We're not doing that. Like, you have to earn I don't care if he doesn't show up to 2 practices, you can't play. Right. So I'm very disciplined when it comes to that. My mother was in the Army Reserve, right. Discipline was everything. And so, I can say that that's my thing. Alex is a nice guy. He'll give you chances. Maybe these players had to work, but no, once you commit, I expect you to commit. So we have different styles now. Alex understands that you're spending your money for someone who's not appreciating what you're doing. And so we won't do that again.
Good.
That was mistake first year, a part of second year. So right. We've come a long way.
You have, and you got to go through that, right? I mean, that's trial and error. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now, being that we became the first Black Americans, African Americans, arguably in the world, with a pro men and women's program, right? Mm-hmm. But when we first met that Black History Month last year, I mean, I get so many negative tweets about it. More, I think it bothers people that I'm a Black woman that's mm-hmm. doing it, mm-hmm. because they don't harass Alex at all, but they'll at me and they're just like, they don't understand how hard I've worked, how hard we've all worked, and we really believe in soccer. Like, put the color aside, put the fact that I'm a woman and we're new in soccer, see it for what it is. We're doing something for players that would have never had an opportunity to play on this level, or have a harder time to get, because this is the richest sport and it's only 1 ball in a net, 2 goals, right?
Right.
But you have to pay to play here. Right. And we weren't about that. We had to charge a few fees because we're paying mostly out of our pocket, but we keep everything low. We're always considered about the community in which we live in.
Well, that's fantastic. And we got a few minutes left, but my last question to you all is, where do you see the club 5 to 10 years from now?
Alex, are you sleeping?
No. I said, damn, time flies. He said we have a few minutes left. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I streamline this answer? Well, so as you know, Justin, we just continue to grow the brand, making it undeniable. Basically, as I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned that we have a pathway now to Ireland now, which is to a first division team. So not only we're giving the players an opportunity here, but to springboard to a first division team abroad, and from there it's just our brand is just going to continue to grow, not just making it when we have our matches, not creating just matches, but an event out of it, incorporating entertainment to it also. So it's a vast amount of opportunities that's going to be presented with the New Jersey Teamsterz Football Club, and it's just going to continue to grow. Sibrena, go ahead.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, I would say 5 to 10 years from now, you will see the women's team, our female players being promoted to U.S. American team, national team, and I envision us winning championships and starting off winning matches, right? So I envision us by doing good works and for a legacy of time, 100 years, I expect New Jersey Teamsters FC to be around. So
Nice.
that's where I'm at. I also, if I could, I would like to tell you guys, like, as owners of a Black-owned majority business, we're offering to the community shares of our company through WeFunder, WeFunder.com/New Jersey Teamsters FC. So for as little as $100, you could be an equity owner of our club.
Okay.
And for $250, you would have perks plus equity. And equity is what it's all about. Alex and I have offered the community. And so I would love to see, I mean, people from all over the world has invested in us thus far, but I would love to see more minorities invest in professional soccer through us. That would be an amazing situation. Imagine we're doing what Green Bay Packers did and Barcelona did by opening up.
Right.
So imagine all of those shareholders, they get a nice piece of change. So our goal is to always operate in the Black. And we've been doing people can't believe that we don't have debt. So check out our WeFunder.com / New Jersey Teamsters FC. The financials are there, the reasons why we're opening it up, and who New Jersey Teamsters, who we are. So
fantastic. And I'm going to make sure to add that to the caption, because I think that's a huge draw for a lot of our members and our followers. I know some of them, may want to start a club, but what you all are doing is unique, where you actually provide, shareholder, opportunities between $100 to $250. So I'm definitely going to make sure to add that in our caption. Where can we find you all on social media, on your website? Can you provide us with the channels?
Sure. On our YouTube, our Facebook, Instagram, and dugout.com. You can find us at NJ Teamsters FC, and that's NJ like New Jersey, T like Tom, EA, M as in Mary, S, T like Tom, ERZ as in zebra, F like football, C like club.com. And then on Twitter, we are at NJ_Teamsters with the Z _FC.
Okay.
And so
everywhere.
your personal one?
I'm sorry?
Your personal social media?
I don't want
She
people
doesn't
following.
have to add that. That's not necessary.
No,
That's not necessary.
But he's trying to get me to get more followers. Sibrena Geraldino. And that's Sibrena Sibrena Geraldino. And Alexi Geraldino, ALEXSI Geraldino. Now look at that. I don't have to say like what is it? Beehive. J Lo with I got Alexi. My name is already in his name with the S and the I. Get it?
That's right. I get it. Oh, I see.
Okay. I didn't get that part, but that's okay.
Yes, it's already ordained. But as you love to have fun and talk a lot of crap. And I'm so sorry that the sun has been in my face this entire time.
No problem at all. We can see you, so that's not an issue at all. So I want to thank you all again for coming on to the show. This was extremely eventful, and I mean, we just learned a lot about the club, and we wish you all the best moving forward. This is excellent, and this gives a lot of us motivation. So keep the great work up.
And thank
let's
you
do it again.
This platform, I love it. We watch your videos, so this is good. I like you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, and we'll talk soon. Thank you very much. All right. All right. Well, take care.